black folks.
But you know what?
But we had two parents in our home, and our parents was no joke. Mac had two parents in his home. His mother and father was no joke. You know, we had parents, man, that
so Mac Thomas' parents was no joke.
They were no Big Mac was no joke. His mama, no joke, man. My mama, no joke. My daddy, no joke.
For the dime moves and the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, little homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you've been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, man.
Lifting weights and I was on swole, they start calling me Big Me.
Yeah, I used to stay with y'all a long time ago, briefly. Long time ago, nigga, yeah.
Kev Mac video, you know, this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul.
This is the beginning.
When you were in Compton,
yes,
and you and Mac Thomas were together,
right?
Mac Thomas. Yeah, partner. When he was over in Compton. You remember Mac Thomas?
Yeah, I put Mac Thomas in the little boy.
Yeah.
What kind of sticks to the street?
See.
Forget my kid.
There you go.
Yeah, she ain't gonna
so there's been a rumor that him and Tyrone Tate got into it.
I didn't think so because I'm one before you. I didn't think so because I never heard that. Now, if it was done, it was done without my mouth because I was looking for it.
Yeah, but the rumor is true that they did have, had an altercation. Yeah. We had a lot of altercations.
Was it two Mac Thomas? Some of that little gang banging Mac Thomas?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Well, I think we should clear it all up.
Yeah.
So, give us some clarity on this, Punch.
What's the clarity that y'all looking for?
Well, the rumor is that Tyrone Tate whooped him.
Oh, wow. See where you put me in a situation there, but at that time, yeah, you know, there was a lot going on at that time, and let's just say that Tyrone Tate wasn't a punk. That's for sure. Tyrone Tate had hands. Mac had hands, Tyrone had hands. But Tyrone's uncle Alfred had the better hands. You know, and at the time, it was more that we were afraid of Alfred and all of them. You know, and yeah, Tyrone did. Yeah, they had to go. You know, and I hate to even talk about things like that because
right.
You know, because they both end up, you know, good friends of mine. Tyrone ended up a good friend of mine, and Mac always was a good friend of mine. You don't want to spill over things like that, but yeah, it happened. Yeah, there's no doubt, it happened. And they just recently buried Tommy Clark.
Yeah,
I think yesterday or something like that. They guys told me yesterday about they buried Tommy. Now
he had hands, huh?
Now, them was hands.
Tavi?
Yeah, Tavi. Them was hands.
Yeah.
Them was hands, man.
Tavi was from Nixon, right?
Yeah. You know, we talk about, you know, formidable foes from the Nixons as well. You know, and we all grew up together. You know, even though we go into Compton, they stay here. You know, Tyrone, he stayed here, but then he moved on. But we still talk about formidable foes who were worth talking about. Those were foes that was worth talking about. You know, people try not to, but the truth is, Tavi he had hands. Alfred Trotter had hands. He still got hands, even as an old man. You got a lot of people who had hands, man. And in this area, you better have hands or else. If you didn't have no hands before the guns, because remember, we didn't get guns until later in the game. First came the hands. If you didn't have hands, you was out.
No, thank you.
Yeah, Those were the ones who had heads.
Let's talk about the horses, man. We just left Richland Farm, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Mac had horses, right?
Hey, man. That was some of the most... I mean, people used to see us, man, you know, because they had at least 7 horses there. And people used to see us, man, and they, man, who these country ass, man? You know, because they didn't know until we rode up on them.
You rode up on them on horses?
Yeah. You were like, man, that's the way it was. You know? Because we look, the farm was everything. And everything was based around the farms. You know, you had Park Village, you had Boot Hill, you had Smoketown, you had the Grandies. All that in that area, the farm was in the middle of all that. You know, and Mac loved it. Mac loved that show of pulling up on that horse. You know, he loved it. He loved to pull up on that horse, man. That was his thing. You know, that was his thing, to ride that horse, man, and pull up there, and people look at him, and hey, man, you know, because he had a Tennessee Walker, and Tennessee Walkers are the ones with that nice strut. Yeah, he was a cowboy. He was pretty much everything a man's man could be. You liked him because he was a man's man, you know. Raymond liked him because he was a man's man.
I was just going to ask you, what was him and Raymond's relationship like?
Man, him and Raymond's relationship, sometimes they get kind of stormy, but they always, you know, a lot of times, and I think a lot of people didn't really realize it, when Raymond would go to jail, Mac would have the lead of that car. You know, Mac
the whole east side?
Yeah, Mac would have the lead. A lot of people don't, man, because Mac had so much charisma. Everybody, whether he was west side, east side, or what, everybody loved him. He was a cat. When you talk about honor of loving, just about everybody loved Mac because he had that type of character. And he would move, he would move a force. We would start in Compton. There might be 5 cars and him on this Honda 100. He out front on that Honda 100, right? We come through here. By the time we get to Mona, we done picked up 5 more cars. We come through Watts. Now we got 5 more cars. By the time we get to the west side, we got 20-something cars. And he's still out front on that Honda with his black leather coat on, man. And it was like Von Zipper. You know, he was the Von Zipper. Yeah, he was Von Zipper on that bike. Pointing, let's go, y'all. You know, and that's, hey, man, everybody wanted to be around him. Everybody loved him just like him.
He was a very infectious person. He was. Charisma, and people gravitate towards him.
Hey, man, he had so much charisma, man. It was unheard of. You know, I used to tell everybody, man, this dude ain't nothing but James Cagney. You know, and he was built like that.
That's the comparison you making?
That's, hey, man, because he had that. That's the way his charisma was. He sit there, man, and you know, he do things, and you would think of James Cagney once you see him, because he was a short guy.
Anybody know who James Cagney were? James Cagney. You know, remember Kev Mac?
Mm-hmm.
Rocchead? You know James?
I heard the name, yeah.
Yeah,
what about you,
he's
Kenya?
an old gangster.
I heard
in gangster movies.
James Cagney is one of the best gangsters you could ever see.
Wow.
And
See,
go back and see on TV.
Oh man,
he was a class act of his own.
And that's what Mac was, a class act of his own, of our own.
Oh wow.
He was one of us, you know, and we knew him because we were with him every day. But see, back in the days, man, we didn't want to come home. You know, we didn't want to leave each other. We was having that much love for one another. But now people go home. But back then, and we knew we would get in trouble. I had a mother and a father. I knew I had a time to get home. Forget it. You know, Mac, same. He knew he had a time to get home. But we stayed with each other because we loved each other. We didn't feel like, man, I know my parents we gonna kick it here. You know, and that's what we would do, man. We would kick it. We stay with each other. But we had that kind of love for each other. And people don't got that nowadays. You know, it's not that way. You know, they're together for other reasons. We were together because we love one another. We love being with each other. He was my brother. I was his brother.
What was I believe that at that time, couldn't nobody just walk on and say, hey, I'm over here or over there. Because you guys had a protocol, and you actually had a boot camp.
Man.
Talk about the boot camp.
Compton, man, we had a boot camp on Raymond Street Park. And at 3 o'clock, everybody coming out of Compton High who was a Crip at that time knew to make it there. Once Park Village, just about everybody who was part of Park Village and wanted to be a part of our thing was in that park. Anybody who was anywhere, even Nutty Block, whatever, you made it to that park because if you didn't come to that park, you couldn't say that you was a real Crip, not a Compton Crip. Because this is where we taught you how to walk. We taught you how to whistle. We taught you how to bail. We taught you how to bail on people. We taught you how to wear your ace deuce. What side to wear it to. We taught you how to hang that flag. We taught you everything you need to be taught. Just like, hey, the Marine Corps boot camp. You go to the Marine Corps, they teach you how to wear that hat to the right side.
That whole uniform.
Exactly. And we taught you how to wear that uniform. When you put on that Compton Crip uniform, you knew what you was doing. Because you didn't get blessed until the end of that session. End of the session, that's where the blessing comes in.
So who came up with the logo, the ace deuce with the 2 K's and the 2 C's?
It's hard to say who came, but I mean, see, because before we had so many different hats. We went through the one hat that was getting out the liquor store. That was mainly a lot of West Side. With that black hat with the white trimming around the rim, and so it's hard for me to say who brought it, but mainly that was Raymond's idea. A lot of people say it was Raymond because Raymond was the one, who used to lean back on that cane. So we went through so many different stages, where the Pirus, they went through the Dutch boy stage just to stay away from where we was at. But we stayed with that. We went from that one fedora to the ace deuce. Once we got to the ace deuce, we wasn't leaving that.
Macho.
Yes, sir.
Who came first, Carver Park or the Grandies?
We say Carver Park came first. With the Grandies, when we came in not taking nothing. We wasn't taking nothing from nobody. Carver Park, there's no doubt. We never gonna take that. But for Compton to get a hold of Compton, we had to come in. Because everybody allowed Compton to be stepped on. Okay, you ain't no more stepping on none of Compton. That's how we came with it, man. We Compton, and we ain't allowing nothing. And yeah, Carver Park came first.
One more question. Explain to us what the Baby Crips are. How did that come about?
Baby Crips, that was one of Raymond's things. He loved his Baby Crips. And he'd tell you in a heartbeat, I send my Baby Crips at you, nigga. I ain't got to send no Crips at you. But the big Crips was Raymond's boys. That was his people. That was them. Now we the ones, because like Raymond was a couple years older, so and a lot of people, I don't know how some people did. I guess they got blessed as being Crips. Me, Matt, we enjoyed being Baby Crips, because that's where we was at. We was in Baby Crips, man, and we loved it. But Raymond loved us as much as we loved being Baby Crips. He loved it. Because see, as Baby Crips, you had more of a flow where you can, we had our leadership was a thing. And the whole city was afraid of Baby Crips at the time. We was the ones that the city was afraid of. When they see them come, when they see us coming, it's like, yeah, y'all better get out the way. Because here it is. We the 14, 15-year-olds, It's just like now. You see 14 and 15-year-olds, you're afraid of that. Nobody wants to deal with the 14 and 15-year-olds. Nobody wants to deal with it now. People acting like this is what happens now. This happened back then. And everybody stayed out of our way. And Raymond he used to just love to see us, and Mac was over that. East side, Baby Crips on the east side, hey, we ran the east side. We went from one end of the east side to another end. And all because that's what Raymond wanted.
So at what point did you assume the name Head Houncho? Because that's synonymous with being in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, man, we had already got to Compton. And I remember we was on Long Beach Boulevard, and the Boulevard boys was, they was all with that rah-rah shit, right? And I remember, man, I don't know which one it was, but he was talking so much rah-rah, and I just put him in, nigga, this head honcho motherfucker. You know, get up, right? And it was just the way he, you know, it just came out, you know, and it was the way he, like, ducked at it. Oh, yeah. Me and Red Dog, you know, Red Dog was one. Yeah, Michael Redman, man. We was together. It was Red Dog, Frosty,
King Neen,
you know, all these, and these are dudes that we really hung with, you know. Mac wasn't there because Mac had went back to jail at that time. Yeah, man. From that moment on, I liked how it came out because I just spitted it out right then.
Head Houncho.
Yeah, nigga, this Head Houncho, nigga from Compton, Grandy, Crips, and it stuck. Everybody said, man, that's your name right there. You know, everybody said, that's your name, Honcho.
So how did Mac get the name Cisco? How did that come about?
Well, since we was out, he was like, well, you know, since you Honcho, man, you know, gotta be a Cisco. And he loved that song. Cisco Kid was a friend of mine. Hey, he loved that song, right? And he like, Honcho, Cisco, Honcho. Yeah, Cisco. He said, man, that's it right there. Cisco, Honcho. And that's what we did. You know, we did a lot. We pallied off each other's back, man. You know, I mean, a couple times, you know, you can't be close without almost having altercations. A couple times we got close to altercations. You know, we was competitive. He was a competitive dude. I was a competitive dude. We both young, man. And they say, Cisco come before Honcho. And I said, Honcho come before Cisco. You know, you know how you gonna get a Cisco before you get a Honcho? He said, because Cisco come before Honcho. See, nigga. H, did you go to school? I said, oh yeah. He said, well, I thought your mama taught you something. How you gonna get an H before a C? And we just go back and forth, man. Yeah, we was like that, man. We come with some stuff, man.
So again, when we lost Cisco, aka Mac Thomas,
yeah. What
was Raymond's reaction to that?
Oh man, I remember Raymond had on that black khaki suit, right? And he came, man. We was all over there on Raymond Street. And I remember he bailed. He said, so you niggas gonna let this nigga mama and them bury him? With that story right there, he said, you niggas gonna come up with the real. He said, cause I ain't believing that shit. Raymond did not believe that. Raymond said it straight out. He said, you niggas gonna let his mama bury him with that story? He said, he ain't never been that kind of coward. And y'all ain't gonna make me believe that. And that's why none of us believed it, you know? It's a lot of people don't want to even talk about it now as if they're afraid to talk about it. But the truth is, nobody believed it. You know, when it came and they said that Mac had shot Lester, so he thought he killed Lester, so he killed himself. Mac would shoot you, he wouldn't care. Okay. He wasn't the type that would kill himself. You know, and so when Raymond heard that, he said, man, I don't believe it. You know, and he was just upset that anybody would allow his parents to bury him with that story. And that's a sign of a leader who knows his truths. He knew his truth. He knew that Mac was not that type of person. He knew that if Mac shot Lester, which is something that he knew Mac wouldn't do, because Mac and Lester was, you know, they was tight. You know, and it's just something that, you know, that wouldn't happen. I felt it wouldn't happen. A lot of us felt it wouldn't happen, man. But, you know, Mac had witness and started going his way and started doing his own thing. You know, because we all did. That came around the time when we all got the selling water, some of us got the smoking water. You know, and that kind of hurt everybody all at one time. You know, everybody got hurt by that. Because we started leaving each other alone.
And what year was that, roundabout?
You say about 77, 78, we started leaving each other alone. We started, you know, now we better than Goodfellas. Now we PCP sellers. Now we making money. You know, because most of us started having kids and we started having women. We trying to get that home. We trying to get that car, and that's what we started doing.
There used to be a home and a bro.
There it was. The home in the Brougham. You know, Brougham was the home for most of it. Most of us was living in that Brougham, right? So yeah, we done that, right? You know, but we started leaving our homies alone to their own demise. You know, and Mac was left to his own demise. Salty was left by himself. You know, we started leaving each other alone. And when you leave people alone, you know, things start happening. You know, we lost Salty. You know, we saw it. And we lost each other, man, because we weren't there for them. You know, it's like when you start being grown, you start trying to come out and do grown things, and that's what we started trying to do. We started trying to make some money to pay for the lifestyle that we started living.
You had a question, Kenya?
Yeah. Can you please give us a Raymond Washington story? I mean, the one that you just told about the Crips was good. Give us a story.
Wow, a good story about Raymond?
Yeah.
Raymond has so many stories, man. I mean, when Raymond came over to the grannies. I remember looking and saying, So you niggas really think y'all can do this, huh? Y'all niggas really want to do this like this? I say, yeah, cuz, what's wrong with that? He say, that's just shit. Ain't nothing wrong with this shit. He say, I like how y'all got this shit. You know, he say, but that shit, man, when you gotta blink your lights on and off. He say, you know what? My driver didn't even know that. He say,
Wait a minute. Flick the lights on and off. Why was that? What was the purpose?
Yeah, when you came in the grannies, man, you better, if you didn't blink your lights on and off, some West Siders know. That's how catnip, you know, they come in talking about a picnic. I say, you don't want to picnic here, man. What y'all talking about? And they got blowed on. Catnip fired a shotgun. Well, Raymond, he saw how all these niggas started running out there, and he didn't know what to do. But I guess he told the driver, blink your lights. Well, they blinked their lights. And man, when we saw the big G get out the car, we was like, oh man, you know we're in trouble. we knew we was in trouble. It was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do now? Shit, Raymond got out the car and shook hands and said, look, man, I love this. He said, man, y'all really think y'all gonna survive? With some blinky lights on and off? He said, so far we did. You know, so far, we done survived. Ain't nobody coming in, ain't nobody got shot in here. And the people that get shot are the ones who don't belong here. You know, so that's one of the best ones I can tell.
No one was coming down to that cold side.
No. Nobody pulled in. Now there have been some people pulled to the corner and shot up in there. You know,
what good was that?
They'll get out of. That's what I'm saying. That's the best they could do. They come up to the gas station, get out the car, and shoot down there. It's like, come on, man. Y'all really don't want no problems. So yeah, we had some almost, man. But yeah, that's the one where Raymond looked at us like, man, I love this. This is, hey man, you know, because he can look around, he can see all the buildings and see where if you came up in there, you couldn't get out. You know? And one thing about Raymond, he wasn't the type that, you know, when he looked at something, he wasn't enthused about a lot of things. He didn't seem like he had that enthusiastic about anything. He was always pretty mellow, pretty calm. But we could see it on his face that we had done something good. You know, if you made the big G feel good about something, you felt good because he was always so calm, you know, so collective.
There was one guy that made a statement. He said, "There's only one G, and that's Raymond." He said, because he's the creator of something. Anytime you were the original person that created something, you're the G.
Yeah.
But he respected other people call themselves G, but he said, but there's only one real G.
Well,
how would you agree or disagree?
I agree that he's one G who started all this, but Raymond wouldn't agree with that. You know? Okay. Raymond wouldn't agree with that. That's why he passed it down. You know. Now, what would he? I don't know what he would think about all, because I don't think any of us saw this coming. Any of us saw us, you know, moving over into Japan Nigeria, all these different states we went to, we're in now. Nobody saw that coming, man. Raymond didn't see it coming, but he knew it, and that's why that slogan, Crips don't die, they only multiply. Those statements are so more true now today than they were back then. Crips don't. I remember each year everybody said, "Oh man, don't worry about it. They don't go out." Yeah, we may have grew out, but those coming behind us hadn't grew up out of it yet, and those coming behind them wouldn't grow up out of it, and those steady coming wouldn't grow up out of it. So yeah, you can count that one generation. Yeah, that generation would grow up out of it, but now you got G's who passed it down, and that's why it kept multiplying. And when they came up to whoever came up with that statement, because I don't know who was the one who originated, and I ain't gonna try to lock it down and say who did, but the originator of that statement was so true to the word. Crips don't die, only multiply, and constantly.
Chitty bang bang.
And then what a Crips die.